The heavy bowgun is a heavy-hitting ranged weapon, and like all ranged weapons, it requires a bit of knowledge of the inner workings of the game to really understand what you're supposed to do. Personally, it took me a long time to wrap my head around ranged weapons, because I could never be too sure I was using it properly. Since you move so much slower with this weapon, you'll also need to be very wary of timing and positioning. Anyone can pick up and use the bowguns, but to really excel, you need to know the weak spots of the monsters as well as what element they're weak to. Then you can pick the right gun and bullet for the job. Being a ranged weapon, you don't need to worry about sharpness. Unlike the bow, you will have to load your shots before and after firing them. Also, unlike bow, there are reload speeds and recoil to consider. Depending on your bowgun and the bullet you're using, your shots can have a faster or slower recovery after firing, and the reload may be quicker or take longer. Fortunately, you won't need to charge your shots like you do with the bow, which makes the bowguns less dependent on stamina usage. Taking shots is a simple matter of pointing and shooting, whenever you want to. If you want to unload your gun, you can do it instantly, but loading it requires an animation. Unlike bows, you always want your gun to be loaded, otherwise it can't be fired. You can check your ammo and still have your gun be loaded if you land on whatever you had loaded originally. Heavy bowgun is a very slow weapon compared to light bowgun, though shots will be more powerful, and you also get a stationary firing mode called siege mode, which allows for some crazy damage per second. Think of this as a greatsword, and the light bowgun is a sword and shield. Bow is maybe somewhere in the middle, like a longsword. When supported properly, heavy bowguns can output a crazy amount of damage. Back in Monster Hunter 1, they even mention how a heavy bowgun is best used when you have the support of a team. This makes them incredibly powerful in multiplayer, and if you use things like traps and flash bombs to impair the monster, you'll be able to continually fire on monsters and overwhelm them. You can still use it fine in single player, but you should keep this in mind, as well as the idea that all monsters will have better or worse weapons against them. Bringing along feline comrades will help quite a bit, as when the monster is focused on something else, you'll have more of an opening to fire without being interrupted. Fortunately for the bowguns, the only thing you need to consider for your damage is what bullet you're using, how far away you are, and where you're hitting the monster. There are no charge levels or coding bonuses. The main complexity with bowguns lies in the recoil and reload system, which I'll touch on briefly later. And of course, since you are using a gunner weapon, you'll be using gunner armor, which has more elemental defense, but less physical defense than Blademaster armor. This means you'll be taking more damage in general, so you'll have to be more careful. The heavy bowgun may not be the best weapon to start the game with. It's easy to get lost in all the numbers and information, not to mention just how heavy the thing is, but once you get over that initial hurdle, it's not too bad either. I recommend that you stick with it if you like how it looks or feels to use. That being said, I also encourage you to experiment. If heavy bowgun is slowing things down too much, pick a different weapon. There are 12 weapon classes to choose from, 9 melee and 3 ranged. Try them all. If you want to be a good gunner, you'll need to do a bit of research to find the right gun, the right bullet, the right armor. It's more satisfying that way, to some people at least. Let's go over the controls with the bowgun first, because I'll be talking a lot about the numbers in a bit. The weapon and armor I'll be using can all be bought from the equipment shop, next to the smithy, across from the item shop. Press triangle to unsheath, press square to sheath. Heavy bowgun has the longest sheath animation of 62 frames. That's 2 full seconds. Press R plus triangle plus circle to unsheath into a reload. Press triangle while unsheathed to reload your gun. Press select while unsheathed to do a melee attack. This move is mostly useless, but it can build up exhaust and KO. I guess you can hit small monsters with it, but similar to light bowgun, you can try to reserve some pellet shots for that instead, assuming your gun can use those. You can press X to roll with the weapon out. Heavy bowgun just has regular rolling. You cannot back hop. You can roll forward, and after firing you can roll left and right. But the roll distance is no different from normal rolls. Rolling can be helpful to gauge distance from monsters, but generally speaking, you'll want to eventually get used to how far away you need to be. Your distance is important due to a mechanic called critical distance, where you will do more damage if you're the right distance away, and less if you're too close or too far. Hold L and press triangle and X to scroll through your list of ammo. As a side note, the game will warn you if you accept a quest with a bowgun equipped and no bullets in your inventory, which is quite nice. Press circle while your weapon is out and bullets are loaded to fire. If you press circle without any ammo, your character will play a funny little animation that will lock you in place and get you killed if you're not careful. So be careful. Press R to go into aim mode. Unlike bow, this is a first-person view. You can move the view with the analog stick or D-pad, but you can't move while in this mode. You can still roll if you need to, including rolling to the left or right after firing. It may be easier to be more accurate in this mode since you can aim with the analog stick. Alternatively, if you hold R, you can go into a third-person aiming mode. You can move while in this mode, but it may be harder to aim. It's up to you. In your options, changing sight type to 2 will allow you to either tap or hold for each aiming type. Type 1 will only allow you to do the first person view, and type 3 will only allow you to do the third person one. Picking 1 or 3 will remove the slight delay where the game is trying to figure out if you're tapping or holding the button. For camera type, I'm not sure what difference between type 1 and 3 are, but type 2 will prevent your camera from zooming in, if you'd prefer that. Now, about the bullets. I don't really want to go into the damage and reload and recoil stats of each bullet. That would take too long and is beyond the scope of this guide, so instead, here's a cheat sheet. You can find this in the description as well. Besides that, normal shot level 2 is your bread and butter shot. You should basically always bring it, assuming your gun can use it. Everything else is a bonus. Finally, press triangle and circle to enter siege mode. Then press circle to select a bullet from a possible list. I'm putting this here because each heavy bowgun can only do siege mode with a specific type or types of bullets. The starting heavy bowguns can only use normal level 1 shots in siege mode, which are infinite, so that makes it easier to get used to. Once in siege mode, you'll be unable to move. Using the analog stick will rotate your aim, and in the case of normal shot level 1s, you'll have 30 bullets to fire. Hold circle to fire them. When you're done or need to move, press X and you'll stand back up. This is a little slow, so make sure you do it soon enough or you'll get smacked before you can roll away. So, with all that done with, let's talk about bullets before we take down Great Jaggi. Just like with the bow, we can find information about our bowgun by going to the equipment details section of our pause menu. The pages you want to look at here are 1, 6, 7, and 8. Page 1 will give us information about our bowgun's damage and affinity, as well as its reload, drift, and recoil stats, as well as whether or not it has any additional parts on it, like a long barrel or shield. Pages 6 through 8 will let us know what bullets we can use. There are many types, and I've covered them in my light bowgun video. Check the description for links to that video and more information. So let's look at what ammo types our bowgun of choice can use. The one that can be bought from the weapon shop, next to the smithy, across from the item shop. Normal 1 and 2, Pierce 1, Pellet 1, Recovery 1, Poison 1, and Exhaust 1, along with trank and paint shots. The number listed under the level of the shot will tell you how many of that shot can be loaded at one time. So we can load 4 normal level 1s, or 5 normal level 2s for example. And finally, very importantly, as I've mentioned before, heavy bowgun has what is known as siege mode, or crouch fire. You can see which ammo types you can crouch fire in the 8th page of your weapons equipment detail in the pause menu. Along with this, bowguns, both light and heavy, can be upgraded by spending some money at the blacksmith. The heavy bowgun can use a shield or a long barrel. The long barrel will increase the damage by some percentage, meaning the higher your damage is, the more the long barrel will increase it by. The shield will block most attacks as long as you're facing an enemy with your weapon out and not firing, which can be very useful and is usually what I recommend if you're playing solo, though the long barrel is very good in settings where the monster's focus isn't entirely on you. As an optional upgrade, you can also add a zoom scope to your bowgun, letting you zoom in and out when aiming. This isn't terribly important, so it's up to you whether or not you want to use it. And, like with all weapons, you can spend an armor sphere to upgrade its attack one time. This upgrade does not stay when you upgrade the weapon itself, and the type of armor sphere required will change, likely depending on the rarity of the weapon. Okay, it's Great Jaggi time. As always, take useful items from the blue box. Great Jaggi should start in Area 5. We can get there through the shortcut in camp to Area 7. Don't forget to load your bowgun before entering Great Jaggi's nest area. You should probably load pellet shots to take down the small monsters first. Normal shot level 2 works really well too. With how slow our movement is, taking out the small monsters is more important. Since we're using such a slow weapon, you really need to take out the small monsters first, or you'll just get jumped to death. Our main plan here is to get Great Jaggi alone, then use an item to impair him and go into crouch fire. Like I said before, heavy bowgun really thrives when you have support. Using items like bait, traps, and flash and sonic bombs, you can be your own support. When you don't have an opening for crouch fire, use normal 2 and roll frequently to avoid being hit. To line up a flash bomb, run away from a monster. When they turn to chase you, throw it. Unfortunately, Great Jaggi calls for help throughout the hunt, making it hard to get him alone all the time. Sometimes you just gotta make the situation work. Unfortunately, I'm also just a little too far away and not dealing the most damage. You'll see thick sparks spray out from the impact if it was a good hit. Look for that. Pretty sure if you're too close to your target when using pellet shots, all the hits won't land. so try to be like one roll away. Aim for the head. Like always, try to predict where your target will be and aim there. It doesn't matter that this is an action RPG. If you're shooting something, crosshair placement is important. Remember that first-person aiming will aim in the direction you're facing, so aim with your character. That was a little greedy. So, I've used the supplied flash bomb. I still have paralysis meat and a shock trap. I use them incorrectly here, but honestly I never use meat bait, though I should, and didn't know. Basically, Great Jaggi will go for meat if he's exhausted. He'll also be stuck in traps longer if he's exhausted. But you can use traps when he's not exhausted. You can't use meats when he's not exhausted. Kabisky? He's exhausted. It's time. So, let me run you through my thought process here. I put down the trap, and I was worried that he'd leave the area instead of running into it. So I put the meat down on the other side to lure him into the trap, which worked great. And I thought after the trap, he'd also eat the tainted meat and get paralyzed. Well... I love how the felines are just completely unfazed by this war crime going on, by the way. Huh? Remember to heal and reload before re-engaging with the monster. As you can see, while the heavy bowgun is, well, heavy, once you get set up properly, you can put in some crazy damage. Putting yourself in situations where you can use crouch fire will be important, so be sure to bring things like traps and flash bombs, etc. And make sure to only use crouch fire when it's actually safe. Otherwise, use your normal shots. I recommend you hunt Great Jaggi a few times and make his full armor set and upgrade your heavy bowgun. Just pay attention to what ammo your upgrade uses just in case. The Great Jaggi armor is very good at this point of the game and will set you up for success. Take your time. Be patient with yourself. If you like how heavy bowgun plays or looks, but the weight doesn't feel worth it, just stick with it. You'll get the hang of it eventually. Until next time.